HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated U.S.-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. This show is designed to help small business owners, salespeople, and aspiring entrepreneurs master every aspect of business success. We've got a great lineup of guests and topics scheduled for you. We'll be talking about everything from sales to employee issues, from technology to social media, from work-life balance to exploring uncharted territory. Participation is welcome and encouraged. Your host, Diane Helbig, is a world-class author, speaker, and business development coach. Be sure to check out her latest book, Lemonade Stand Selling, on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. And now, on with the show.
Well, good afternoon or good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks so much for joining us today. As we said, we do welcome your input, so if you are in the chat room, you can type something in and I'll share it with our guest. If you're on the phone, you can press 1, and that will let me know that you have something you'd like to share with us. Today's show is sponsored by Zarka Financial. Zarka Financial's 25 years of business have included a strong commitment to educating their clients and others on timely and important financial topics and basic financial principles. They offer a full range of planning services for individuals, employees, and business owners across Northeast Ohio. Please visit www.zarkafinancial.com, and that's SZARKA financial.com. This radio show is now streaming on Stitcher Smart Radio, so you can get it on your mobile device, iPad, laptop, or Palm. You can go to Stitcher.com to gain access. Today's guest is Jane Applegate. Jane is one of America's most respected small business experts. She's the author of 4 books, including 201 Great Ideas for Your Small Business, published in all formats by Wiley. She's the host and producer of Tech Essentials, a new online show about small business technology sponsored by Microsoft. Jane's company, the Applegate Group, creates original web and video content for big companies serving small business owners. Clients include Bloomberg, Cox Communications, Microsoft, and Pitney Bowes. A former syndicated columnist for the Los Angeles Times, Jane covers small business for OpenForum.com, Bloomberg.com, and other websites. She's produced small business programs for Bloomberg, CNN, and CNBC. For more information, you can visit www.theapplegategroup.com, and Jane will be sharing with us towards the end of the show some details about her show, Tech Essentials. Welcome to the show, Jane.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
I am so excited to have you with us. I truly enjoyed your book, The 201 Great Ideas, and so I actually want to dive right in. I know that the name of the show is, the top 10 great ideas, but I am curious before we actually get into the top, how'd you come up with the 201? I mean, it's an interesting number,
Yeah, well, it's funny, Diane, the original edition of this book stemmed from a contest that I ran when I was a small business columnist for the LA Times. People were always sending in their ideas and pitches, and the column from the beginning was totally user-generated. I mean, I did get some pitches from PR people, but people would see themselves in the column and write in. And so it was actually pre-email, which sort of tells you how old I am. But anyway, so I thought it'd be fun to have a contest and have people write in, you know, the best business solution they had, the best idea they had, and the only catch was that it had to work for them and their business, and that it might be transferable to another business owner. And we got about 2,500 responses. It was amazing. The column was in syndication at that point. So then, you know, my agent said, this is a book, you know, because they're very distinct short chapters, and they're very specific, just one idea from one person. And then it was actually the marketing department at Bloomberg Press, which published the book initially, that said, you have to have a great number in the title, because one of my first books was called The 101 Toughest Small Business Problems. So it was kind of a play off that. So I said, okay, you need a number. You know, 99 had been used. So anyway, we just settled on 201 great ideas, and it's fun, and it's you know, memorable, and it's an easy number to remember.
Exactly. That's right. That is right. Wow, that's fabulous. Thank you so much. See, and, you know, interestingly for the audience, one of the things that I so appreciate about that is that really what we're saying is you don't have to get locked into, you know, some of these ideas that we have about the way things should be done, you know. If you have 201, you know, or you need a number, pick a number, you know, that a lot of people get hung up on the detail and don't just say, okay, here it is, and I'm doing it, and I'm throwing it out there. And it is, you know, it's a great book. So it's got a lot of really, really good content in it. So
thank you. Yeah, it's fun, and I was asked to revise it. This is actually the third edition that's available on Amazon, and hopefully people will support their local booksellers and go in and ask for it and order it locally. But I was asked to just revise about a third of the book, but so much, you know, the world of business is changing so at lightning speed, and there was so much on technology that needed to be updated. So I actually literally started at page 1 and rewrote the entire book.
Wow.
So it's very fresh, and for people who are out there who say, "Oh no, I already have that book." I mean, if you don't have the third edition, you don't have the most current information.
Right. Wow, good point. Thanks so much for bringing that up, and things are changing so much. I imagine you'll be doing a fourth edition. I'm thinking I have another few more ideas out there, and I'm really enjoying the research that I'm doing about technology and tools, and you know, there's just no way to be an ostrich anymore. When I speak and I'm running around the country, people say, "Oh, I have somebody else dealing with the technology and the web and the cloud, and what kind of server do I need?" And I say, no, you as the business owner, you know, you really need to be large and in charge when it comes to your technology. So that's kind of, you know, where I've been. My work and my writing has been leaning in the past couple months. Got it. Well, it'll be great, because you're right, and that is changing so frequently that I think one of the problems small business owners have is keeping up with all of it. You know, it seems like every time you turn around, there's something new. Right.
It can be overwhelming, but, you know, it's like anything else. It's a key piece of the building blocks to success, and you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to run a successful small business, but you have to, you know, really be willing to set your ego aside and ask for help. And that's why shows like yours are great. And, you know, the most successful business owners are always out looking for new information. And if you're not, you're going to kill your business. Yeah.
Wow, really good point. So speaking of that, speaking of killing your business, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing small business owners today? Is there one big thing that you know that you notice?
Well, I think that you know, if we'd been talking a few months ago, I still would have said the Great Recession and all the financial headaches. But I think now the biggest challenge is, you know, an attitude adjustment and positioning your company for growth. I mean, I have traveled all over the country last year. I did about 20 speaking events, and that's how I propel my reporting, by speaking and reporting wherever I am. And I think people just have to, adjust to what some are calling the new normal, doing a little bit more with less, and really think about, that this is the year that people should be hiring and promoting and just, standing up tall and saying, okay, we've been through this horrible time. Stop pointing fingers and just get back to business.
Yeah, boy, I'm with you on that. And I have to say that at least in Northeast Ohio, it feels like companies are doing that. Manufacturing is up. It's hard to find skilled labor because they're working, actually, now here. And it seems like, a lot of people are saying, okay, you know what, I just can't wait anymore. Either and there's not a job to go to. I got to make this thing work.
Right. And there's also, I think another challenge, which is a good challenge, is there's incredible pent-up demand for goods and services. We all know people who've said, I haven't done anything to my website. I haven't, finished my new logo. Everything was on hold while we were in the doldrums. And now people are rushing around saying, oh, my gosh, I can't even get an agency to look at my project because they're so busy, So, or I can't, I need help and I can't hire people because they've all been scooped up by my competitors. So, again, this is a time that you don't want to be snoozing and losing. You have to, there's just people need stuff done. And if you're a service provider or you have products, I've talked to car dealers who are selling, more trucks. People who kept their cars together with, rubber bands and bubble gum are now out saying, oh, my gosh, we need some new vehicles here. So I think if you sell any kind of product or you offer a service, this is when you start flying the flag and saying, okay, I'm ready to serve you. We've been sitting on our hands too long. Let's get back to work.
Yeah, boy, I so agree with that. I think, too, that for those companies and those people where the bottom really didn't fall out, you're absolutely right. It's time to get back on the horse, get moving, start offering those products and services. And for me, and I have a feeling you agree with this. If you don't, it's cool. But that small business is really what's reviving the economy. That these are really the companies that can be agile in this kind of an economy are the ones that really have the edge.
Yes, and the president's shining a light on I think 2 million people have been hired in the past couple of months or so many months, and yes, we are nimble. If I need to hire someone, I'm a good example. I'm about to bring on a virtual assistant. Now, I haven't had, that position filled for a while, and I'm just thrilled to death that I'm going to have somebody who's going to be helping me, book guests for the Tech Essentials show and just, help me because we're busy. We're busy again. The phone's ringing, and we're doing several production projects, and, we need help, so we're going to be hiring.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I know we said top 10, and I definitely want to get to the top 10, but if I had to ask you for the top 3 ideas from the book, could you narrow it down like that? Would you say there are 3 that stand out?
Yeah, and, it's funny. The list I gave you, I'm always changing the list depending on the day, but I would say the top 3 that we can cover quickly. I would actually start with idea 1 and idea 2. And idea 1 is always deal with decision makers. And to me, that was a life-changing revelation because we have a unique company. Our clients are Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies that are trying to serve small business owners. And, often those companies are, they're fabulous clients, but they move slowly and it's confusing as to who's really in charge. So I've learned, from the minute I started my company in 1991 that you really need to aim high and try to deal with a person who can say yes. And it sounds basic and easy, but it's tough. It's difficult. But the higher you go up the food chain and the decision chain, the quicker projects will get approved and the more seamless and smooth they will be. So I think, trying to, no matter what business relationship you're in, just try to figure out, who the person is that can actually write the check. And if not, you're going to waste a lot of time bumbling around with, middle managers who can't say yes.
And that's one of the biggest frustrations, I think, that business owners who are their sales force, fine, because they spend all that time with someone, and then the person says, well, now I need to take it, to my boss,
right.
so to speak, and they just think, oh, well, here we go. And they wonder why they can't get an answer, and that's why, because they're dealing with the wrong person.
Right. And then, one thing I point out in the 201 Great Ideas book in this one idea is that you definitely want to have buy-in at the top level, because if not, when you come in as a consultant or an outside vendor, there's always this internal battle, the not invented here syndrome. So if the people who are dealing with you day to day aren't told clearly by their manager or supervisor, we like Jane, you need to work with Jane, this is it.
Right.
Then you're just stymied. You'll go nowhere. It'll just become a lesson in aggravation. So I think, again, it's really important. And even when people say, how do you get to these people? How do you get to the top? I mean,
right.
I just share a lot of reporters' tips, which are, actually call someone on the phone, not email them. Call them early in the day.
Wait, can you say that again?
In the day, or late in the, after 6 when assistants and gatekeepers are gone. Send a good old-fashioned letter to the president or chairperson of the company. And if there has any interest, it will trickle down. And nothing, we've gotten amazing projects because I've written to the top person who puts a sticky note on my letter or my pitch, my package, and hands it, sends their minions off to the head of marketing, and all of a sudden the marketing person is saying, well, I guess if, the chairman of the board likes her idea, we better move on.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be, I think, number one.
Okay.
And number 2 sort of keys off that, and this one, it always gets a lot of laughs when I'm discussing it or speaking about it. But number 2 is never work with anyone who gives you a headache or a stomach ache. And
now I know I get the laugh.
Yeah, this is my motto. Life is too short with people who make you miserable, to work with people who make you miserable. And you know what it's like when you're in a toxic relationship, whether personal or professional, that the project or the outcome is going to not be positive if you're dealing with somebody who you're struggling, in this person-to-person relationship. So, again, we've walked away from many lucrative, seemingly amazing projects because I had a bad feeling about the people we'd be dealing with, or we put a toe in the water, signed a contract, moved forward on phase 1, and then it became, the nightmare. And so I have to, I truly believe, I've profiled thousands of successful entrepreneurs through the years, and this is their watchword as well. Just do not work with people who make you sick.
And so one of the things that these business owners really have to embrace is it's okay to walk away from the money, the money that you think is going to be there, because frankly, if these people give you, are difficult to work with, they're never going to pay you enough that it's going to be worth it.
Exactly. And the other thing is when you eliminate these toxic influences, and funny, I have this presentation I was doing last year called Business is Great Except for the People. And it was all about how to, move away from toxic relationships, because what happens, Diane, is when you eliminate the toxic relationships, you make space for the positive relationships. And all of a sudden, everything shifts, like the universe shifts in your direction, because you're not wasting time, losing sleep, grinding your teeth, all those things we do.
Exactly.
And, I have to say now the team I'm working with at Microsoft, we love working with them. They're smart and fun and, tremendously creative, and it's just been a win-win-win. And so that's, we've walked away from other projects to put more attention to this because we love working with the people there.
Yeah, and it really does. It multiplies, that kind of positive energy multiplies just like negative energy. I mean, it's the same rule, and you want to. I mean, I just love it, and thanks so much for saying it, that it opens up space for the really good relationships, which are the ones that you want.
Right. And then it just, and then it also, it just works. I mean, everything goes smoother. You're more energized, and it just opens more doors. And I know it's hard, and I know people are listening to us saying, but I'm tiny and I only have 3 clients and I can't walk away. And I mean, I will never forget, I met an insurance agent who came up to me after I was, talking about this topic, and he came up and he said, I was the most miserable person on earth. I hated my clients. They were just driving me nuts. And then he said, I'm going to go out tomorrow and start walking away from these 3 specific clients, insurance customers that I just can't deal with anymore. And then we followed up with him 3 months later, and he said, you would not believe, the joy that came into my life, not only from getting them out of my insurance office, but all of a sudden I had time and space to go out on new sales calls, and I've more than replaced those 3 crabby clients.
Right. Right. Great example. It could not be more true. Could not be more true. Okay, and the third top idea?
Let's see. There's it's kind of my baby. They're all my little babies in the book.
Well, okay, you can give us the top 10.
Let's see.
We can keep going.
Oh, here's a good one. For many freelancers, having a place to meet is a challenge, and great idea number 13 is, set up meetings with your clients in elegant public places. And, you can parachute me into any city in the United States, and I can figure out the nicest hotel, the quietest lobby, the restaurant that doesn't push you out, who has the Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi, who has the nicest facilities when you're running around, how can you crash into the ladies' room and not be thrown out. But I think, because a lot of people work at home or they have a very modest office. So, if they're keeping their overhead low, you need to meet your clients outside of your personal space.
Right.
So, and I love to, if you can't, either your clients or prospective customers don't have the time or you don't have the budget for a full meal, I'm a huge fan of afternoon tea or coffee. Just,
good, sure.
Skip the fancy stuff, and I think the nicer hotel, the better. I mean, if you walk in, dress nicely, and act like you belong, you will rarely get tossed out of a fine hotel.
Well, see, that's so interesting because I agree with you completely, and I think it's the same mentality when pitching to the very top of an organization. You have to believe you belong there.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same whole, viewpoint about yourself that you have purpose, that you have a reason to be there, that it's a good reason, that you, are adding value in some way. That might end up being sort of this overlying idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But these small businesses really need to embrace it, and it's hard. I mean, I get it that you think, well, I'm just little, but we live in a different world where little is really good.
Yes, exactly. We're nimble. We have low overheads, and get the work done.
Right, exactly right. Are you familiar with Marilyn Landis from Basic Business Concepts?
No, the name's familiar, but what is her?
Well, she does like virtual CFO kind of stuff, and she's always being quoted on Fox and CNN and all of these, and going down to Congress, going down to D.C. to talk about small business and money, the credit crunch and, what the issue is. And she and I are writing an article about this new economy that we're each bringing our different expertise to this idea that we live in a completely new economy where it's really better to be small and all the advantages we have. And when you said the thing about, that you're hiring a virtual assistant, it made me think of it then as well, because this is this economy. This is the way you can behave like a big company without all the overhead, without the staff, without the building, with the fixtures and the furniture and all of that, as long as your mindset's in the right place, which you mentioned, this whole thing about it's about mindset.
Right. And also if your work needs to speak for itself. And I know our clients appreciate that, when I'm doing my production and putting teams together, I rarely fly in more than one person. There's one producer who I adore that I work with on almost everything, and I'll take her on the road, and I have a marketing strategist that I travel with. But, there's talented people everywhere.
Right.
If you can just get, prove to your clients that you've got the greatest talent, the greatest energy, ideas and new strategies, they don't care that you have a fancy office. In fact, I started out as a white-collar crime reporter and for years always associated beautiful, swanky offices with criminal intent. So if I walk into your small business and you have, plush carpet and suede furniture and a Mercedes out front, I'm really going to start doing an investigative report on your company.
That's a riot. That's a good point. It's very interesting.
You don't need all the trappings. You just have to act professional and exceed everyone's expectations.
Okay, and speaking about talent, what can small business owners do to really attract and keep talent? When they can't really pay a lot. I mean, is one of the avenues? I'm assuming that one of the avenues is pulling people in as you need, having sort of this pool of freelancers, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, one great advantage is, the economic downturn is it just forced, millions of fantastic people out into the streets.
Yeah.
And price points have fallen. I mean, you can hire some pretty amazingly talented people in a quite, cost-effective manner. So the other thing is for former corporate executives and employees, it's almost like a dream come true when you tell them, you can work at home 2 days a week. You can work virtually. You don't need to buy 10 suits. I mean,
right.
It's a cultural shift. And once they get over the idea of that there's not an assistant and a facilities person and, they're making their own coffee and, pitching in. It's just you can really pay, a reasonable amount and offer somebody flexibility in exchange for, a huge benefits package. I mean, that time is money for people. And I think we've just been able, in fact, the marketing person I'm working with was the CEO of a company and things turned around, and I mean that's incredible. I mean she's a marketing genius and was running a large women's organization, and now Tracy's working with me. So
wow, how great!
It's really a huge, probably wasn't a happy time when she parted company with her past employer, but their loss is certainly our gain.
Right, exactly. Right, and interestingly, probably for her in a lot of ways, because she, like you said, she gets some of those benefits that you don't necessarily get. Working at a big company, it's more rigid. You get the money, but you don't get the flexibility and the time and sometimes the ability to have a greater impact.
Right. And now, it just works out great. She has her own consulting practice, and we're taking, a chunk of her time, but certainly opening new doors, and I get tremendous feedback. I mean, she's responsible for all the marketing and demand generation for the Tech Essentials project. And, she probably wouldn't have been hired directly by Microsoft because how would they have found her? But
right.
I brought her in and said, she is fantastic. This is her sweet spot. She's developed an online marketing toolkit, a kit of material that we send to associations and say, it's cut and paste, help us promote this information to your members and look at this easy, quick and easy way to get the information out. I mean, we do everything for the groups.
Wow.
So, and I've never heard of anything like that. And she developed this whole thing, and it's tremendously cost-effective for everybody. And we're all busy, and when somebody says, here's the information, cut it and paste it into your own newsletter.
Exactly right. That's right. Excellent. Very good. Great. So I want to take a quick break and just remind everyone who's listening that today's show is sponsored by Zarka Financial. Zarka Financial offers a full range of planning services for individuals, employees, and business owners across Northeast Ohio. And you can visit www.zarkafinancial.com, and Zarka is spelled S-Z-A-R-K-A. Visit zarkafinancial.com for details on how they can help you grow your business. Also, if you'd like to participate in today's conversation and you're in the chat room, just type something in and I will share it with our guest, Jane Applegate. If you're on the phone and there's something you'd like to say, you can press 1, and that'll let me know that you'd like to share. So this is so great. I just, appreciate so much this information because I think everything we've talked about so far is so great for this audience to hear. It reminds them of the things that they think they know, and it tells a lot of them things that they didn't realize about how they can be participating, on a somewhat grander scale. I do want to ask you a question about technology, because you were just talking about, this whole thing that Tracy created and this cut and paste and making it really easy for these people to participate. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about not specific technology, but about why having the right technology is important for small business growth.
Well, I think, right now more than ever, if you're not taking advantage of all the tools and equipment and platforms and apps, and you're crazy. You're really missing huge opportunities. And I think one way to sort of start, because it is overwhelming, is for instance, Great Idea 69, number 69 is a quick technology checkup. And basically, it's just a few questions you ask yourself. And the first one is, what do you need to be more productive? Think of yourself as the business owner or manager. And then what do your employees need to be more productive if you have people? And then you do the research. And then the most important part is the third part, which is where you ask your customers, clients, and suppliers how they, what things they use to be productive. And you can survey people, you can call them up, and just get a sense of what's working for other people. Peer influence is enormously powerful in the small business world. I'll look at your phone and say, what's that? Is that a Windows phone? What kind of phone is that?
Right.
So asking other compatible or competitive business owners even, what works for you. And to do the research, to really do your homework, because you can waste a lot of time and money on gadgets and gizmos and that kind of stuff that is going to be just a waste of time. So I think it's really important. And if you can't afford a tech consultant to, maybe sit down with someone, do a review that will let you figure out, how to invest your resources. And also, I think a huge part of this, Diane, is to look at what's not appropriate. So I really kind of go crazy when people say, oh, I just hired a full-time social media assistant. And I look at them and I say, are you J-Lo? Are you Angelina Jolie? Why do you need that person? You're making gaskets in Ohio or something. Right. Do your clients, are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter all day? So I think, it's really important to step back and say, this is all great stuff. These platforms and applications are phenomenal, but do they fit my market? Are my clients and customers, is this the right way to communicate with them? And it's, it's the same thing for actual equipment and technology. You think about let's say your intellectual property is incredibly important. You're an attorney or a doctor or a dentist, and patient records are critical. I mean, God forbid something happens to those records. So then you put into your tech plan, it's great to store everything in the cloud, but, maybe I need a server in my office that's just like a safe, safe house for all my information. So again, it's very specific, and it depends on your business and what you need to be successful.
Well, and I think, and it's so great. I so appreciate that information, and one of the most valuable parts of that was that it really, it has to make sense for where you are in your business, that you can't get caught up in, well, this is what everyone else is doing, or, when you said that thing about, people ask each other about their stuff, and asking other people is great, but it still has to translate back to what your needs are in your business. And I would go so far as to saying beyond technology, I knew a man who had a home-based business, and we were all sitting around. It was a mind-sharing sort of, mastermind sort of group, and he said that he needed to rent space and hire a secretary, and we all looked at him and said, like, why? Well, because that's what I need. Okay, well, there wasn't really a substantive answer out of that, except that's, for him, I think that would have meant that he was successful, if he had those things.
Mm-hmm.
But his clients weren't coming to him, they weren't coming to his space. He was going to them. So that was more of this is what I believe in my mind, as opposed to from a strategic standpoint, these are the things I really need.
Right, and also, there's so many things that are very affordable. For instance, I was a really early adopter of this little Wi-Fi card called a MiFi. And the thing is, a lot of people have an individual Wi-Fi, that they always have with them, so if they can't get online at a hotel or Starbucks or whatever.
Yeah.
But because I run a production company and I'm often with clients, mine supports 5 users. And believe me, that has saved the day. I've been on a book tour in a bank when we couldn't get on the network, and the marketing person I was traveling with during that tour was frantic because she had a lot of work to do while I was signing books. And I just handed her this little Verizon thing and said, here, it's fine. It supports 5 people. Sit there and do your work while I'm visiting with your clients. So, and again, that's incredibly cost-effective. I think it's, was something like $50 for the device and $35 a month for the for the service.
Yeah.
So again, that's something that's very specific, very affordable, just perfectly fits my needs as a busy, on-the-run, producer and speaker. So
absolutely,
you don't have to spend a fortune on stuff you don't need. So that's why this tech checkup is important. There's all kinds of really great online tools. Like, for instance, if you are trying to figure out what kind of server to buy, there's like a server selector tool that you can get on a Microsoft site. So, there's just so many places to go for information so you can narrow it down and not be wasting time and money.
Right, because other people have done the legwork for you.
Exactly.
On all those websites, Microsoft and CNET and all those websites where there's people who have gone out and they've, like, I'm on Google Plus, and there's Chris Voss, I think is who it is constantly checking out all the latest and greatest stuff and then commenting on it publicly on Google Plus. So I don't have to do any of it. I can just go read his stuff and know that he's done, the lion's share of the legwork. I just got to figure out if it's anything that pertains to my business.
Right, exactly. So I think that's one thing when people get overwhelmed and start feeling anxious about technology, they just need to step back and say, again, the questions, what do I need to be more productive? What am the people I work with, my team, my employees, my freelancers, whatever, how do I communicate with them, information around? And then the most important thing is asking your clients and customers and vendors, how do we do this? Do you need access to company information? Should we be building, a password-protected part of our website? Should I give you access, a server where you can go and check the information and have the most up-to-date, versions of order forms and brochures and company information. What's protected, what's not protected. It's it doesn't take that long to just calm down and take it back to the basics. Right.
So we're going to move off of technology in just a second and talk about some other things. But before we do, are these the kinds of things that you talk about on your show, on Tech Essentials?
Yes, actually, the really fun and exciting part about this new show is I have produced many small business shows that are sort of cable. They've been cable shows. They're at a fixed time, generally crack of dawn on a weekend, and not huge ratings because there are people that get up and want to watch something on a Saturday or Sunday. But one thing I was very clear about when I kind of pitched this idea to Microsoft is that, first of all, it should be available online 24/7. So, any time of the day or night you can watch this show. And it looks and feels like a regular cable TV show, but we're also making it more segmented. And basically, because, again, I'm not a super duper tech expert, but I'm a great reporter and I know what small business owners need. So it's demystifying technology. So we have we have case studies where I interview actual business owners and what their problems were and how they solved them. We're really excited for the next episode. We're actually shooting a third of the show at the Small Business Technology Summit, which is a great, it's a 7th annual one. If anyone can get over to New York City on March 6th, it's a really fun show, and there's experts and trade show booths, and we're actually setting up a studio on the trade show floor, and people will come in and tell their stories, and then I'll be interviewing experts that we'll put into later episodes of the show.
Oh, how great.
Yeah, so it's very practical, pragmatic.
Yeah. Great.
And then we also, have, just a segment where we actually demystify a particular product or technology. So, for instance, I had no idea. On the first episode, we had an expert who showed me, in a few-minute segment, how you can access company information from your phone that's secured on your server. And it was a bit, I had no idea. He pulled out his phone and said, I can change passwords, I can change access.
Wow.
Because business owners are on the run.
Yeah.
So, even if you're not buying this particular product, you would watch this and say, that's amazing. I had no idea you could do that.
Right.
So it's, we're thrilled for the support, from Microsoft as the main sponsor. But the show, I can assure people it's got a lot of practical information, and we're very excited about taking it on the road to Ramon Ray's Small Business Technology Summit. And he's actually, the other thing is we have experts who will be cycling through, and Ramon, who's a small business tech journalist, does some great, just quick tips, in a couple of minutes. He's got a big personality and great information. So we're going to be having just a series of experts. And even if you have 5 minutes, if you go to myfirstserver.com, you can see Ramon's tips. And, he's funny and educational. And, it's just, again, it's demystifying technology for business owners.
So great. It's so needed. With everything going on and happening so quickly, and new stuff every time you turn around, and new words, like that whole cloud thing, which is just a new word for things that have been going on for a little while. It's hard to keep up with your business at the same time.
Right, and that's something interesting too. When I was doing research and learning about data storage, people literally think the cloud is something up in the clouds, in heaven. And, and I say, I'm not an expert on this, but I can tell you that your data is on a machine. It's on a physical, it's
right.
on a
I'm not highly
somewhere.
technical, but, right.
Yeah, but it's in a giant, facility with other people's stuff.
Right.
But, yeah, even the terminology, and then, we could do a whole show on the whole, smartphone apps. My God.
Yeah, boy.
700,000 now.
Yeah.
And with more people, creating them every day. And again, I was reluctant to get a smartphone, and it was actually my husband who said, "You're not going on your book tour with that old clunker phone."
Wow, smart. Good.
So,
good.
I think we all have hesitancy about trying new technology, and people think it's confusing. And
right.
But this is when you need a college-aged person to be your tech support person.
Or high school. It's so true.
School.
I mean, because they're not afraid of anything. That's why. They're not afraid of breaking it. If they do, they can fix it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about some more great ideas for business. We've covered some really great ones so far. I just want to make sure that we hit up some other highlights. What else do you think?
Well, the fun part about the book is it's divided by topics that are really important to business owners. So should I throw one out about marketing?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would say that I think anytime you can offer a free sample or do a demonstration of your product, I think it's really, really effective. And we just did a fun project. We did a makeover contest for a client, and one of the winners was a baker, a brownie baker in Connecticut. And, there's thousands of people trying to bake and get into Whole Foods and all that. And she succeeded because she started doing these in-store sampling programs. And she said, just let me in the store with a box of my brownies and just watch what happens. And she just signed up, a bunch of Northeast Whole Foods stores to distribute her brownies.
Wow, really?
And so, again, if you can offer a free sample, a free trial. I mean, I've written about companies that make giant pieces of equipment for, factories. And this one company I profiled a few years ago would actually install the pneumatic something or other, bring it over to your factory and leave it for 30 days. And what do you think happened most of the time?
The people kept it.
Of course. No, they fell in love with the machine and they just let it go. So I think that's, again, a great idea that can apply to anyone. No matter what you're doing, think of a way to offer a trial offer, a free sample, a gift with purchase, an in-store demonstration, because once people taste or test your product, they're more likely to buy it.
Yeah. Good.
That's one. I'm also a huge fan of in-store events. I think for the people who have retail shops, I just wrote a story and covered an Oscar party in a tiny town in Vermont where the owner of the store does a lot of business selling party clothes, lots of sparkly dresses, vintage and consignment. And so this Oscar party, more than 200 people showed up.
Wow.
In the middle of nowhere, Vermont, to dress in their finery and walk down a red carpet. And we had our video crew was covering it. It was hilarious. And the owner, I wrote a column for Open Forum about it. The store's called Revolution. And for months, the woman who owns the shop, Kim, is promoting, buy your Oscar sparkles at Revolution and then come down for this free party where she puts up a screen, shows the Oscars, and nobody's really paying attention to the Oscars because the party's so much fun.
Right,
right. She has balloting and gives out her own set of awards, and it's just become legendary. You couldn't even get in the door. It was so crowded and so much.
Wow.
So, again, if you've got any way to draw people in, and I think another great idea is to do something good for the community. Have a clothing drive or a food drive, or just put a barrel in front of your store and say, bring canned goods because we're giving them to the homeless shelter. Just do something physical in the space you have to market your business. It's virtually free and it generates enormous goodwill.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, that's great.
think another one, too, is there's no excuse at all not to have video clips on your website.
I was going to ask you to talk about video.
I mean, I'm prejudiced because I own a production company, but, I just did a little testimonial for a friend who shot me talking about how great she was with a flip cam, and, 3 minutes later it was posted on her new website.
Yeah.
So, if you've got any kind of a smartphone with video capability, you are a producer. And, video testimonials are great. Ask your customers and clients to say something quick and nice and positive, and everybody loves to see themselves on quote.
Yeah.
I think photos are really important. So easy to take and upload pictures. And, people like to see who they're doing business with. I mean, we have on the Applegate Group site, we have little nice portraits and short descriptions of the people that we work with. And when people check out the company, they're like, oh, that's Tracy Long, the genius marketing person. So I think it's important to refresh the content. I mean, you don't have to go crazy. I'm not in favor of, daily uploads of 18 million Twitter messages. But I think, your company website should showcase projects and links, to whatever you can share that's appropriate.
Yeah, great. Great. Oh, these are great. And it's so funny that you brought up that video, because I'd written myself a little note that I wanted to ask you about that, because it does seem to be, I mean, you're so right that people like to know who they're doing business with, and what better way for them to get a sense of you than for them to be able to see you and hear you speaking to them.
Right.
It's incredible marketing.
Yes, and it's, you can so easily post videos on Vimeo and YouTube and embed them. I mean, it's just, even I'm learning how to do that. And if I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out. And again, these how-to tips, on the Tech Essentials show, some of them, we have these guest experts, and they're just 2 and 3 minutes. And, it's a bite-sized bit of information that's really, meaty. That's not just buy my stuff. It's just go on the site. You'll see Ramon talking about, all these things you need to know. And then I do a tech checkup. So, again, give people information, and they will, be appreciative. And it also showcases your brilliance.
Exactly. It's that sharing your expertise. Yep.
Yes.
Great. Good. Okay.
And then I know one thing you do, I think, is, the whole sort of seminar idea, give people a taste of, I'm a huge fan of, like a short breakfast seminar where you buy people breakfast because they're more likely to show up for a breakfast than a lunch.
Yep. And
in the marketing section, I've got a whole thing on how to position yourself as an expert and sponsor a seminar and give people just, a little taste of your fabulousness, and then, sign them up for something where they pay you. Exactly.
And, interestingly, one of the things I tell people is if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to get up in front of, you just said something that made me think of this, if you're the person who doesn't really want to get up in front of a room full of people, bring an expert in and then invite people to hear them, and you are sponsoring, that conversation. That's a great give.
Right.
You're giving to 2 groups of people, right? The person who is the expert and to your clients and contacts.
Right. And then another quick thing, since we're heading to a trade show, I mean, I'm a huge fan of, no matter what you do, once a year, you better get yourself to your industry meeting. Operating in a vacuum is the surefire path to disaster. So you should go to a trade show. I mean, my big investment last year was to go to a national TV programmers convention.
Wow.
And it didn't hurt that it was Miami in January. But it was really important. I made some great contacts. I got great ideas for the Tech Essentials show. I'm hoping, we might be able to migrate that to cable TV at some point. And it was really important. It was an investment. It was 3 days in an expensive hotel. I also think you should not stay, 45 minutes away. Being in the elevator and being in the show hotel is critical for networking. And also, another quick tip is to invite potential clients or customers to meet you at the show. So, you can't really get them in, but it shows that you're a player. It shows that you're serious about what you're doing. So I set up meetings around that show, and it was really helpful. And I learned a lot. And I also, signed up to attend as many seminars and workshops as I could pack in because it was like getting a little, mini master's degree in what's selling in television and what the new technologies are.
Wow.
Getting out there and going to a trade show and then, really working the show, having a plan. Another quick thing is a lot of people say, but I can't afford it. It's expensive. You can volunteer and also even if you have to, get a job working for the event management company. Just get there, get yourself there and get in there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Especially if it's a smaller, professional meeting, you can, of course, you should be a member of the national group, whatever it is, and then say, I'm happy to work the registration desk for one day if I can attend sessions, the second day. So be creative.
Very good. Be creative. Very good.
Be present.
Right on. And one last great idea before we close the show.
I think my sort of new favorite idea is to really try to take an hour a day for yourself. When you're wearing all the hats and working extremely hard, you can't burn out, and most entrepreneurs are incredibly exhausted all the time. So, and I'm not, people say, oh, Jane, I don't have an hour. Well, here's the scoop. Break it into 3 20-minute breaks.
Aha.
So maybe it's a little extra walk in the morning, definitely some sort of lunch break. Do not eat at your desk. It's just terrible for your health. Get up, walk around the block. I come up with my best ideas when I'm taking a break. And then in the late afternoon or early evening, it could be 20 minutes, a little yoga, a little meditation, something athletic. Just, really, really keep yourself healthy and strong. Because if you start falling apart, your business is going to falter.
Boy, there's no question. And one thing I would add to that I learned sort of towards the end of last year is that especially when you're a home-based business like I am, so you could technically work from the minute you get up in the morning to the minute you go to bed at night, to not do it, to say, okay, I'm going to stop at 5 o'clock, and yeah, I may answer emails in the evening, or I may research or listen to a webinar or something, but for the most part, I'm done. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to spend family time, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to do yoga, go for a walk, do everything else, and it actually, I find, for me, I get more done in my business because I haven't stretched my day out so long thinking, oh, I can get to that. I've got time.
Yeah, no, you absolutely, it's a great tip. You need to have office hours. And I also think that another quick thing is to try to wean yourself from being addicted to checking your email every 5 minutes.
That is a good one.
A trauma surgeon or the president, you can unplug and actually get some work done and check it every 2 hours. Shocking. But it works, or check it on a schedule where you check it 3 times a day, but don't, because people just say, I can't get any work done on email all day. Well, hello.
Right.
Time to boost your productivity by not checking your email every 5 minutes.
It's a simple thing, and yet it works. Oh, my gosh, this was so great. Do me a favor and tell me the website for Tech Essentials and I've got the Applegate Group, right? It's the applegategroup.com.
Yes, that's our company site, and I would love if people would check out. We have episode 1, and it's really easy to remember. It's myfirstserver.com, www.myfirstserver.com. And you can see Ramon Ray's Tech Tips. You can watch all or part of the show. We have a really fun interactive part where people can write in to be featured as guests. So fill out the Tell Your Story form. We have a free Tech Essentials checkup. You can download it instantly. And we're also giving away a free server every few months. So
wow.
It's a fun site, and very excited. We'll be shooting episode 2 at the Small Business Technology Summit in March.
How great.
So we're taking the show on the road.
How can people get your book?
I would say first try your local bookseller, and if not, Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. Both have it, and it'll be delivered expeditiously, and it's a paperback. It's also, they can download it on Kindle and iPad. So if you're into digital books, just go to the Kindle store or the iTunes store and buy it there.
Wow, so great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and to all of you who listened in, thank you as well. I'd like to also thank our sponsor, Zarka Financial. Please visit www.zarkafinancial.com, and Zarka is spelled S-Z-A-R-K-A, to learn more about their services for individuals and business owners. Our next show will be on March 12th, when Ron Baker will be talking with us about the top 10 ways employees steal from their employers. And in this day and age, it's a good thing to know about, and ways actually that you can avoid it and prevent it from happening to you. As always, if you know someone who would be a good guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you'd like us to explore, please let me know. You can reach out to me via the show page, or you can email me at my website and let me know what you're thinking. I would like to thank everyone. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful couple of weeks, and we'll see you again on March 12th.
The world's best-known investor and Wall Street expert, Warren Buffett, once said, "Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls-Royce to get advice from those who take the subway." Mr. Buffett's quote is remarkably accurate, but how many people would rather receive advice from him than someone simply guessing? Welcome to Buy, Hold, Sell, your single source for Wall Street knowledge and profitable guidance. Please join me, Todd Schoenberger, and fellow trader Tobin Smith, as well as host Veronica Dudo, for a podcast known to move the needle for investors. Tobin and I are seasoned Wall Street executives with deep investment experience, and we are prepared to share our advice to those who choose to listen. Download Buy, Hold, Sell today on the Evergreen Podcast Network or your favorite podcast channel.